Welcome to the Franchise Woman podcast, where passion and purpose collide, profits are made, and relationships forged. I'm Rebecca Monet, CEO and Chief Scientist at Zoracle Profiles, along with my co-host, community advocate, speaker, author, and entrepreneur, Tracy Kawa. Our special guest today is Adriann Dalton. Adriann is Chief Operations Officer at Honest Abe Roofing. Dalton has more than 25 years of operational experience across a variety of industry. She served as Vice President of Sales and Operations at dentalplans.com, where she was responsible for leading sales, member care, retention, and operations function. She also previously worked as VP of Customer Engagement and Operations at Neighborly Brands, where she took the lead in strategic planning, improved customer experiences, and identifying gaps in the training procedures. In these roles, Adriann successfully drove revenue growth and improved both customer and employee satisfaction. As COO of Honest Abe Roofing, Dalton is focused on identifying new markets for the brand to continue to grow, utilizing and finding ways to further develop Honest Abe's CRM to enhance customer experience and ensure solid training and communication is available in the brand's franchisees. Wowza, girly. I'm not going to call you Dalton, as it says in your bio. I'm going to call you Adriann, if that's okay.
Yes, thank you.
Welcome, Adriann. Good to have you, hon.
Very excited to be here and speaking with both of you today. So thank you so much.
So, Adriann, tell us, you have been in and out of franchise pretty much your whole entire career, but you couldn't stay away, right? You went right back in. What do they say? You can take the girl out of franchise, but you can't take franchise out of the girl.
Exactly.
So, yeah, tell us a little bit about that, how you got started in franchise, and a little bit about your story.
Yes, absolutely. And you're exactly right. I've been in and out of franchising and I just can't stay away because it's a industry where you can make such a significant impact on so many different people. On the franchise owners, on the corporation itself. It's just so much fun. And of course, ultimately the clients we serve. When years ago, I was working at a company and I had a friend of mine called me and said, "Hey, how would you like to move to Eau Claire, Wisconsin?" No idea where it was, but I decided to pack up and move. And I worked for a company that was Harmon Solutions Group that was actually owned by the Dwyer Group. And so I got the first brush with franchising by working with Dina Dwyer Owens, working with Mike Bidwell and the entire senior executive team there, and just loved it. Loved the passion and the commitment by the Dwyer Group. And then I was recruited away, so I was out of franchising for a little bit. And one day I was walking down the street in New York City and my phone rings and it was Waco, Texas. I'm like, who do I know there? And it was Mike Bidwell. And Mike said, "Hey, we have this opportunity. Your name keeps coming up over and over. Would love for you to come and work for us." And so flew out to Waco and had a great time. Got to meet Mary Thompson, who had not been there previously, meet the entire executive team. And as they say, that was Nirvana. Got to do some phenomenal things there. Left again. Didn't want to leave, but felt that for my career to go to dental plans made sense. And I ended up getting a call and someone said, "How would you like to live in Terre Haute, Indiana?" And I researched Honest Abe Roofing franchise, thought it was phenomenal. The brand's phenomenal. Leadership is very, very strong, not only in the industry of roofing, but in franchising as well. And so that's how I am here today.
It's crazy. I think one of the things that sticks out for me is your willingness to do something completely different, to move across country to different states, completely different industries. I would say 95% of the population doesn't have that same level of, I'm going to use the word courage to say, okay, I've never done this, but let's go over here and do this, right? And then succeed at it enough so that your reputation is out there where you're just being recruited. Let's go to Waco, let's go to Indiana, let's go to Wisconsin, kind of thing. So I guess this is a personal question here, Adriann. Would you see yourself as a courageous person?
Funny, I don't see it as courageous. I mean, this is the 14th different state I've lived in.
Wow.
I see it as I love opportunities to make a difference. And I don't take it lightly to change jobs. And so when I'm changing a role, it's really, they say you're either running away from something or you're running to something. And I always feel like I'm running to something, a different opportunity to help people, to help the business, and, consistently help them grow and develop in ways that maybe they wouldn't have done if I had not been there. So I appreciate you saying I'm courageous, but to me, it's just taking on
Yeah.
opportunities that make me happy.
Wow. I was thinking something similar to what Rebecca was saying, where I think most people are not comfortable with change, especially not only changing jobs, but then like moving across the country for that
Right.
change. And I think it's what it sounds like to me for you is that you're actually really comfortable with change as long as you know it's an improvement somewhere.
Yeah, I would exactly agree with that. I think that every opportunity I've taken, I've looked at it as a positive opportunity, something where I can make a difference and where I can try to help. And I've, just enjoyed it tremendously. I mean, even Waco, Texas, it's a small community. I loved it. The people there, it was just phenomenal. So,
Yeah, it's from New York to Waco. That is a big change. So it really is fascinating to me because there seems to be some kind of a theme for you that allows you to make these changes, to take these risks, and that common theme appears to be around where can I go to have an impact? Where can I use my talents and my gifts to help others? It seems like that's the carrot, right? That's the carrot that says, okay, what next? Where am I supposed to be? How can I use my gifting to help others grow? Would you agree that's kind of a common theme in your life?
yeah, I would definitely say, and it's interesting you say that because our CEO and founder Kevin Newton has a saying that the most valuable real estate is a cemetery. And the reason he says that is because there are so many people who end up dying and never, tried to fulfill their dreams.
Um,
And I never want to be that person. I want to go out not only for me, but for those people I interact with. My life's mission is to help people get to where they want to be. And whether that's the business, whether that's the individual, um, even a homeowner might have a certain thing that they're looking for. My role is to help build the business so that we can fill that need. And and that's what gets me up in the morning and that's what makes me happy.
wow. So when you were in franchising originally, right?
Uh-huh.
There was a purpose, there was something that you felt that you were accomplishing, but that was also a different day and time. And then you stepped out for a while, you did some different things with your time. You were also consulting. So when you stepped back into the franchise world, what were some of the major changes that you saw?
Yeah, I think the big changes to me were we were more focused on the customer. And the customer was either the franchisee or the consumer. Where I think historically, we probably were focused on them, but we were focused on the business. How do we grow the business? How do we maximize our profitability and our growth? And when I went to Neighborly, you could see it in everything we did. Neighborly has their values that we would say anytime we were in a meeting where 3 or more people. And the whole objective of that was so you focused on the outcomes and you focused on the people. And that really helped reestablish and sort of recommit my mindset to what we were doing and the purpose of why we were there.
And what was beautiful is the two purposes aligned, right?
Yes.
And that seems to be also what you look for in other situations is does your purpose and the purpose of the organization align? Do your values align? I have a question because dealing with people change, right? The millennials are different than the boomers and the X's and all of those kinds of things. When you say you have a passion to help people get where they want to go, for lack of a better way to describe it, has that changed too? I mean, does our younger generation have different drivers than maybe the older generations?
Oh, yes. So I think, historically or working with somebody who's older is sort of around their career over a longer span. So where do you want to go? What have you accomplished so far? What are you hoping to accomplish going forward? I think with the younger generation, you've got to break it down into smaller bites.
Mhm.
What do you want to accomplish this month, next month, this year versus what are you hoping to do 15 years from now? And they may get to the same place, but mentally their attention is much shorter on the short-term win, the short-term opportunity. And so you have to find the short-term passion and commitment that they have for whatever the scenario is. And you can get there. I think today a lot of folks get frustrated with the younger generation because it's the I want it now mentality. But it's okay to have the I want it mentality if you can also build off of that. I would rather have somebody work with me for 6 months, a year, and I get 110% out of them than have somebody work for me for 10 years and I get 50% out of them.
Wow.
Hmm.
It's just finding the right motivator is what I think is most important.
That is so good. That is so true. Having worked with a lot of career transitioners, I've seen people, one of my clients worked at Coca-Cola for 30 years. You don't see that on resumes anymore. You
Right.
literally do not see that. And then I've had, younger people, millennials who, every 2 or 3 years, they're changing out their job. But I think you raise such a valid point, which is helping them to see their purpose, even if it is the short-term purpose, because it's the collection of short-term purposes that will help to play the long game, right? That will guide towards where they land ultimately and what's brought out of them. So instead of getting disgusted, like, some employers might, like, oh, look at this person, this is what, they want, they're 1 foot out already. It sounds like you're cultivating that talent and you're nurturing that talent to get the best out of them, but also to help them see the short-term vision and how it plays into the long-term vision.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think early in my career, I would change jobs and people said, oh, you get bored so easy. And my response to that was, it's not that I get bored. My job was to come in to build a certain thing a certain way and do it to the best of my ability. And I did that and I train people to do it now. So my job is now to go find something else to do.
Right.
And I think in today's environment, it's how do you make that happen for the younger generation because they are the future, and how do you help them understand and others around them understand that it's not necessarily they're bored, they just need the right focus and the right motivation, you know?
You know,
True.
I hadn't thought about it in those terms. I know, having worked with many franchise founders, that founders are wired a certain way. They're initiators or creators or entrepreneurs, and usually they last a certain amount of years. When it becomes more about fine-tuning processes, efficiencies, effectiveness, management, then their talent is not that. Their talent is in the creativity and the idea. And I've seen so many franchisors that if they stay too long, rather than bringing in a team like yourself that can take it to the next level, they're in trouble, right? They're in trouble because they're out of their passion, they're out of their natural skill sets. But I hadn't thought of it from your perspective, that there's also a beginning and end to what you are wired to do, which is to bring things to that next level and to fine tune it in such a way that it gets the results that the team wants, the founder wants, and the company wants. And you kind of know when that's done. You know, my job is done. The cake is baked, right?
Yeah, and it's when I was at Neighborly, Mike Bidwell was phenomenal to work for, and he let me do what I needed to do. And there, I had a lot of successes there, but one was to build out a CRM that was dynamic and it worked across all of the brands and it enhanced the customer experience. And it was funny because I knew what needed to be done, and Mike left me alone to do it. And every once in a while, he would say, okay, what do you need? How can I help? But for the most part, I was left alone, and we built it in a record time, and it was a very impressive system. Why I wanted to come to Honest Abe is Kevin Newton, our founder and CEO, is similar. He's the gentleman you talk about that's creative and innovative, and some of the stuff he comes up with, most people would shake their heads and go, "Ooh," but he's going for the long-term vision, and
Right.
it's my job to make it happen. And so I think we have a great working
Right.
relationship, and I think that's worked well throughout my career. Is you have that visionary that comes up with a crazy idea, and I know how to make it happen, and I know how to get the team going in the right direction. And that's what I enjoy. Not that I don't come up with my own crazy ideas, but as an entrepreneur, that's what you expect from somebody like that.
Wow.
You expect them to just constantly be thinking and thinking and thinking and
Mhm.
throwing stuff out that may stick, may not stick.
So, Adriann, how do you get a team of people with different values and different ideas of their own and different goals and different desires? How do you get them all to buy in to the vision?
Yeah, great question. And I think it's multifaceted. I think you need to start with your peers. So you need to make sure you and your peers are aligned. And if you're aligned with your peers, then they're working with you. They're driving the vision with you. And so you can say to them, hey, we need support over here, or we need support over there. And if they're aligned, that's all you need to ask for.
Mhm.
What I think a lot of people do is they don't get that alignment, and then they're almost competing with each other. So I think that's the first and foremost. I think the second thing is making sure everyone understands what the vision is. From top to bottom, where are we going? What are we trying to accomplish? How do we make it happen? And then the third thing is when we hit roadblocks, how do we react? I've seen so many people throughout my career who react negatively. They get upset. And I just see that as another opportunity. Okay, that didn't work. Great. Now we know it doesn't work. Let's try this. And I think when you have that mindset, people are more willing to follow you because they say, "Hey, we're not hitting roadblocks. We have hiccups. We're
Mhm.
still going where we want to go." So that's how I've tried to lead in those kinds of situations.
What happens, Adriann, when someone doesn't align? do you trim the fat at that point, so to speak? Do you coach them to begin to see it? Are there times when someone just doesn't have the same ambitions or desires? And how do you handle that?
Well, I think you're always going to have someone like that, who says, hey, this isn't going to work, blah, blah, blah. I can remember that software I told you about at Neighborly. I had a CTO who he just didn't want to do it. And every time I asked him, he didn't want to do it. And we were driving back from Dallas one time. We had been on a business trip, and I asked him again. I said, hey, I need your support in doing this. And he's like, I don't agree, blah, blah, blah. I said, great, then pull over. And he's like, what? And I said, you got to pull over, because if we get back to Waco and I have to tell the team that we're not doing this, I'm going to get fired. So I'd just rather get out here. And, obviously I was bluffing a little bit, but the car got silent. We drove probably another 5 miles. And then he said, okay, I'll do it. And we joked about it years later, but that's what it took. It took me sort of having a stand with him in a private moment and explaining to him why this was important. And he knew, he just felt if he bluffed long enough, I would back down. And I was like, no, that's not going to happen. So I also think if it's another team member, you try to show them the vision individually. So you get them aside and you say, what are your concerns? What's bothering you? Why don't you think this is right? And they may have great ideas. They may say, well, I don't think it will work because of this or that or the other thing, which you then can address. But if they come back with, I just don't think it's going to work, I typically flip it around and say, okay, what would you do? How would you solve this problem? And one or two things will happen. Is they're either going to say, yeah, I don't have an answer, so I'll follow your path, or they're going to say, I don't want to do it. I just don't want to do it. Okay, let me help you find something else that might make more sense for you. And one thing I realize is I always talk about you have to have alternatives. And that's sort of a core thing of who I am is, I'm a Libra, so we're balanced. I always like to have, we could do this or we could do this. And there's always a backup strategy. Here's our goal, we're going this way, but here's our backup that maybe I'm the only one that knows. Mm-hmm. And I think that's important to always be prepared so you don't slow down momentum.
That is awesome. That's why we connect so well, Adriann. I'm a Libra too. Oh. We have to be in balance. We do.
Yes.
We have to be in balance. But it also sounds like you totally understand how to motivate people and the skill sets of the people around you. You also sound like you're really big on communication, whatever that looks like, whether it's, why are you not buying into this, to tell me how you would do it instead. It sounds like it always boils back down to strong communication and not being afraid to have those conversations.
Exactly. And what I tell my team or anybody I talk to is we'll have whatever conversation you want to have with the door closed. The minute the door opens up, we've come to an agreement and we're moving forward. And I jokingly say, you can call me whatever name you want. You can yell at me. You can do whatever you want. But once the door opens, it's over. And I think that gives people the freedom to say what they're really thinking and feeling, but then you have to follow through on it. You can't then, a week later say, oh, well, Johnny, you said X, Y, and Z. No, you have to hold up your side of it as well.
This really feels like a team, really. I mean, the team members may not always be in agreement with each other, or even the coach or the leader, but that's taken care of in the locker room, right? And then when we hit that field or that door opens, as you say, we are now a synergistic, collaborative team with a single mission, which is we're going to win. right? We're going to win at business. We're going to do whatever. But in the locker room, we can have conversations where we may not agree or we may have a different perception. Once that's done, it's done. We're going forward. So to me, it's a combination of this beautiful communication, but you're also very strong-willed, Adriann, right? When you know you've done it numerous times, how we can grow this business. This isn't just a dart you're throwing at the wall. You know what needs to be done. You're just gathering the troops to find the best way to do it and the best team to do it. So there's an incredible amount of respect and trust for you from the team. That's what I'm seeing.
I would say it's definitely coaching based, compared to sports. I played sports early in my career. I thought I was going to go into sports, but it's exactly that. What happens in the locker room stays in the locker room. And then once you're out on the field, you can see when teams are unfolding is when somebody goes for a media interview or somebody's posting something online that says, the coach this player, that player. That's when it starts to fall apart. But if you're in the locker room and you're hashing it out, you can air your grievances and then move on. And I will say, we as women don't do a great job at that. Men can be in the locker room, they can call each other different names, they can talk about their brother, their sister, whatever, and then they'll go out for a drink. Women, on the other hand, you could tell me you don't like the color of my shirt, and I'll hold that grudge for months.
Mm-hmm.
And women have to overcome that. It's not personal. If I'm not doing my job, you can tell me I'm not doing my job, but then you have to be willing to help me figure out how to get there. And that's where women have to be more confident and be much stronger in asserting their position, their view, and moving forward. And again, men do this every day,
Mm-hmm.
and we just sort of, brush it off. We say, oh, those two are fighting, no big deal. Women start talking to each other and it gets, oh, they have a cat fight. And so you need to make sure those conversations are private, they're secluded, so that you protect your brand and the way that you communicate.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's also an element of psychological safety, like knowing that you can say something that that I'm creating the safe space for you to talk, and we're not going to hold it against you.
Mm-hmm.
Anything
Exactly.
like you said, anything you said behind closed doors is fine, but once that door opens, then no, we have to be on the same page.
Right. Exactly. And it makes a huge difference. And again, you have to live it. You can't, if for anybody you end up bringing that up later, you've ruined the whole premise across the entire team.
Good
Yeah.
point. Did you play team sports yourself?
Yeah, so I started late in sports, but I played basketball, volleyball, ran track. So
Nice.
yeah, it was fun.
Beautiful.
An athlete's mindset.
Mhm.
That's it.
Businesses now.
Yes.
So let me shift gears a little bit. Let's talk about Honest Abe Roofing. Tell us a little bit about the business. And then the second part of that question is what's the vision? Where is the company going? I'm excited about hearing that.
Yeah, so it's an unbelievable business. I mean, from a franchising perspective, if you look at our FDD, there are very few businesses that can touch what we can provide to a franchisee. According to our FDD, our annual revenue up to $3 million. Last year it was 3.3 million that you can earn as a franchisee for a relatively low investment. From a consumer standpoint, we do things no one else in the roofing industry does. The guarantees we provide, the training, the support to make sure that that customer experience is spot on. When we give you a price, the price is locked in. So you're not, as a homeowner, you're not talking to a salesperson, you get a lowball price, and then once they have your roof torn off, they say, oh, by the way, it's going to be another $5,000, $10,000. So from a business, we're both, supporting franchisees and helping them grow and make a generational decision about their wealth, their future, all of that. And then we're supporting the homeowners through all of the processes, the procedures that we've built to train and, hold folks accountable and really make the business, the end product phenomenal.
Yeah. So the franchisee themselves, are they doing the marketing and sales, or how does that all work? They're having to do the estimates, right? Of looking at the issue with that roof. How does that process work?
Yeah, so this is, it's not really a business where you have roofers on staff. You actually outsource your roofers and you have a sales team on staff, sales and a management team. And so by using certified installers to install the roofs and focusing on the marketing and the sales side of it, you can actually provide a better experience because you're doing it at a price point that's reasonable. We provide all sorts of financing options to the homeowner to make it affordable for them. But at the end of the day, what we see our role is solving a problem for the homeowner. So you maybe have a repair or a replacement that needs to be done. We come out and we walk you through all the options, and you're just picking options. And then we get to the end and we say, based on what you chose, this is what the price is. And we may go back and forth on, well, I didn't want a metal roof, I want an asphalt roof, or I want a tile roof. But at the end of the day, it's what you want as a homeowner, which again is so different from other roofing companies, because typically they're what we call chuck in a truck. You've got somebody who's trying to do it on the cheap. They're providing inexpensive shingles. So you're going to get their size 9 brown shoe. You're going to get the same thing over and over and over again, that really isn't catered to what the homeowner wants. So you also talked about marketing. I'm standing in our studio right now. We do our own marketing. We create our own commercials. We create all sorts of ads and other things internally with a fully equipped media studio, which is almost unheard of in franchising. What that allows us to do is we can turn out content that is quicker than anybody else. So if a trend happens, we had a storm here, unfortunately, in southern Indiana, devastating storm. The team came in over the weekend and produced a commercial which told the homeowners if they were uninsured, we would come out and put a tarp on their roof for free. And we got those commercials up by the following Monday. And the reason why we wanted to do that is because those were the most vulnerable people in that community. So not only did we go to the community and try to provide a solution, but we could do it ourselves in relatively small amount of time and get it out in the community by the following week and have just impressive content. The marketing team went down there, filmed all sorts of stuff, put it together. We had a commercial in no time. We also have a marketing team here that works on lead generation. And they're just phenomenal what they do. So they help each franchise owner customize their marketing campaign, what channels they're going to use to their local community. And our overall, across all of our franchise owners and our business, we're up 60% year over year, which is, again, just such a huge accomplishment by not only the franchisees, but the team here supporting them.
That's amazing. I love how Honest Abe Roofing goes out into the community. And at
Yes.
the same time, you're supporting, like you said, the vulnerable populations. That is just incredible. And you're able to put out commercials in like record time because you have that in-house studio. It's a win-win-win, just all the way
Right.
around. It's a win-win-win. So tell us how, Adriann, can somebody reach you or the company, Honest Abe Roofing?
Yes. So they can either go to our website, which is honestaberoofingfranchise.com, or they can reach me directly, Adriann at honestaberoofingfranchise.com. More than happy to talk to anybody, whether it's about owning a franchise or whether it's about business in general. Again, I just, maybe I love to talk too much, but I enjoy, getting to talk to folks and trying to, meet new people. So
Nice.
Well,
Beautiful.
I'm sorry, Tracy, talked right over you. I gotta say, in pre-recording, I said I want to adopt you, Adriann. Your heart is just pure. Your focus is like a laser. You know exactly what you are good at. You are good at seeing people and pulling out of them what they are good at. You're great at getting people on a team to execute. I wished I would have had someone like you in my life in my early days as a business owner, as that coach that could give me feedback and to pull out of me who I was. So you are adopted is all I can say. You are now officially part of my family, whether you like it or not.
Right, there you go.
perfect. Yes. I'll be there for Christmas.
All right.
Yeah, no, I appreciate those kind words. It really, I get excited when I see somebody who's successful or when I see a business that's successful. That, that charges me up and really makes me happy. So thank you so much for that. It's just, I do it because I love to do it.
Yes, we can tell. Tracy, I'm gonna let you do your wrap up and then we're gonna get on with our Monday, right?
Rebecca, I don't think I can do a better rapper than you just did. That was
Well, then
amazing.
just say ditto.
And ditto, ditto, ditto. And Adriann, I just see you as a change agent. I just literally see you as a change agent. Like there are pioneers and there are change makers. No, there are pioneers and there are trailblazers. But then there are people like you who just take something that exists already and just 10x's it, just makes it exponentially better. And that's definitely you. And just super, super fast, just wondering if you have any words, just being the change agent that you are, if you have any words for the mostly women who are listening to this podcast who want to take a step into franchise, but might be afraid, just like really quick in like 30 seconds, what would you say to them?
Yeah, I would say number one, don't be afraid, but you have to have a support system. So, whatever that support system is that makes you confident and comfortable to express your concerns, you need that support system. But it can be life changing. It can make you so happy to go where, a lot of successful people have been in franchising. And with a system like ours, it's repeatable and it's built to help you be successful. So when you go to franchising, you're going to get that kind of support, but you also need your internal team, people who will tell you, no, don't do that, or yes, do this, and you trust them.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. Thank
This
you
was so
again.
exciting, ladies. I really, really appreciate it.
It was so much fun having you. Thank you, Adriann. And thank you to those listening in today. Make sure to subscribe, make sure to share this interview, the Franchise Woman podcast, where passion and purpose collide, profits are made, and relationships forged. We'll see you next week on another episode.
Bye-bye.